All right, everybody, welcome back for another episode of Let's Talk About It, Student Counseling with Friends. Today's friend is Brian Rouser, who is the Director of Campus Dining at the great UAB. Again, I'm Herb, and with Student Counseling Services. And just so you know, like I tell you every episode, student counseling is still open. We're still seeing clients, and right now, we've added back in the feature of being able to web book, so you can set up your appointment online through the patient portal. If you have had a counselor already and you want to reconnect, just connect with that counselor through the portal, or you can call in and somebody will return your call if they don't answer the phone. So, and we have other events going on as well. We have trainings going on via virtual services. We have the podcast. We have posts each day on our IG account specific to the day of the week. So follow us at UAB SCS for Student Counseling Services and keep up with us, all right? So enough about that. Let me turn the attention towards my guest, a good buddy of mine, a bright light to the campus of UAB. Brian, introduce yourself to the people.
What's up, everybody? How are you all doing today? Herb, thank you so much for having me out. My name is Brian Bowser. I am the district manager for campus dining at the University of Alabama at Birmingham. And I have been here in the Birmingham area for 2 years now. Kind of been all up and down the East Coast. And it's an honor to be here, and it's an honor to be on your show. Thank you.
All right. It's been 2 years already?
2 years. Can you believe it?
Man, that flew by. Yeah.
Yeah, it did. You know, time flies when you got nobody to serve and you're staying at home for 6.5 weeks.
Man, I'm telling you, we are here now. I was talking to a student today, and it was like, yeah, we're about 10 weeks in. I'm like, here we are, still chugging along.
I remember it was right, the lead up going into spring break is when all of this was coming to a head. And we were talking about what's going to happen and what's next. And then that Friday right before, the hammer came down. And then last week was the end of the semester.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that day. And I'm looking around the office, and it's like from that Tuesday to that Friday, it had changed 10 times about what we were going to do, what to expect. And then that Friday, it was just like, take everything home that you can take home, that you feel you might need with you while you're gone. And that was it.
Well, and see, in dining, it was a little different. It wasn't shut everything down as we're getting ready to go on spring break. It was consolidate everything into one area as much as we possibly could. Because, I talked about it's been 6-7 weeks at this point. I don't know. It could be week 10. Who really knows? But we never stopped. We've been open nonstop this entire time. So just like you talked about with student counseling, you guys are open. The Commons on the green, the lights have always been on. So we've been feeding everybody from first responders to essential personnel to our wonderful facilities teams that have been on campus to some students that have been living there, not able to get to other areas. And, we try to do it all with a smile and a little bit of hospitality in this very, very different time.
Yeah. Let me tell you, we've definitely let people know about the services you kept providing when COVID hit and we were, off campus. And I had students who didn't live on campus but lived close to campus and still had apartments in the Birmingham area. And when they learned that you all were still serving, they were excited to see it because they depended on you all already for food. And so it was definitely beneficial. And plus, places were closed, so you couldn't just go grab food at that point in time. So you all definitely came in clutch for a lot of people.
Well, I was really proud that we were able to keep some of our programming intact too. So, the one thing I said is we got a tradition, and it's Thursday night. It's fried chicken. And, I don't, come hell or COVID, we're going to keep serving fried chicken on Thursday nights. So, I was pretty happy that we were able to pull that off.
That's good. That's good. Let me tell you, it's one thing I miss, and me and a few of my coworkers talked about this, was our $5 Fridays with that fried fish. And we're still doing it. Leave the backyard. Come on down. I might have to take a trip to UAB one Friday because I still got my card.
We'll take it.
I got my card for my fried chicken and my fried fish and my coffee. I'm like, maybe these will roll over the next semester because I still got it. We'll
still honor it. How about that?
That works. So how have you, man, been adjusting to just life at home now? What's that been like for you?
Well, it the funny part is it really hasn't. I haven't really had any time off or any time away.
Yeah.
This is a rarity for me to be kind of in my own backyard,
Mm.
getting an opportunity to talk to you. And so, with the Memorial Day weekend coming up, I decided to take a couple extra days off and just give myself a little bit of a mental break to kind of stop and sit and slow down a little bit too.
Yeah.
But however, I'll say the work hasn't stopped, but the workload has definitely been different.
Yeah.
When we go from serving 10 to 11,000 people a day to just a couple hundred or just a couple dozen, um, the physicality of our work stops. But
Mhm.
it's all this planning and what are we going to do for the fall? What are the systems we've got in place? What are trying to understand some of the messaging that's coming out from the system on, Dr. Watts came out this week with his, phased kind of reopening plan. And it's
Yeah.
how do we become a good partner and mirror a lot of what we're doing to get prepared for that?
Yeah. Yeah.
But then, you talk about it often in a lot of your other conversations. It's the mental health aspect of it too, is that uh, folks in dining, especially folks in the hospitality industry, and you and I laughed about it kind of before this, we're all jacked up to 11 a lot of times. And we're just kind of go, 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 very outgoing, a lot of
Mhm.
A-type personalities, a lot of Eagles, a lot of
Yeah.
A's, a lot of ones, whatever, whatever
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
scale is
Yeah.
you want to use. And to kind of lose that aspect of what we do in the day-to-day stuff,
Yeah.
that's difficult. I'm definitely one where I crave connections with people,
Yeah.
and they talk about Zoom fatigue and other things like that, and that's a real thing, and that definitely can have those peaks and valleys. I know I've experienced that over the last 2 months, and
Yeah.
it's been good to find some ways to kind of work around that, and then not fall into some really dangerous coping mechanisms too.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and that's that Zoom fatigue. That's one thing we do touch on, and me doing the counseling sessions here at home. That's majority of the time I'm meeting with people is because of Zoom or through Zoom. And I've even had students to the point now where they opt for phone sessions versus Zoom sessions because they get tired of just sitting in front of the computer
Yeah.
and staring at the faces coming at them. And so,
Well,
I mean, go ahead.
no. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I mean, but it's, right now it's a gift and a curse. I mean, it's a gift to have the options, to have that flexibility, to have the technology to do so. And I read a quote where it basically said that the virtual communication is it's almost tricking us into believing that we're having the connections that we're not having. Like we don't have you still need that like presence of a person in the vicinity of you versus like through a computer screen.
Yeah. All right. So I know this is an open Discord back and forth. So I'm going to actually pose you a question.
Mm-hmm.
Just because so much of what you do is actually very similar to how a lot of us approach our jobs. How difficult is it for you in these sessions or in this time of being distant but connected via technology when it's not always what people say? A lot of times it's those nonverbal cues.
Yeah.
And to have everything shrunk down to a box where you only get to see a small amount of what they want you to see,
Yeah.
I know that's challenging for me. I can only imagine how much more difficult it makes your job.
It definitely can be. I mean, 85% of communication is nonverbal.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you're in the office with me, and especially, if we already have a rapport, then certain facial expressions, certain body shifts, I can pick up on.
Right.
And depending on the rapport and how much I trust the moment, I can engage the person on that shift, that change. That's definitely limited when it comes to via Zoom because some people just they don't mind it being on, but they don't want to stare directly into the camera.
Right.
Or the culture is that people will sit on FaceTime for 2 hours like they're on the phone and will never at any point in time look at the person they're FaceTiming And so they're accustomed to that. But me on this end, I could think, well, why aren't you making eye contact?
Yeah.
And then, you know, it's real difficult. Like I had a conversation with a student recently. We were touching on some very sensitive things, and she became emotional. And it was limiting not to be able to just reach out and grab a tissue box or not, you know, point her towards a tissue or anything like that. And so there are definitely some limits. Or like if we have a student that's in crisis, you know, what that means. Or if it's just somebody that, you know, and I'm sure you've seen me on campus. I mean, I just know students in general. So I'm used to being able to walk up to somebody and dap them up and, you know, yada, yada, yada. Or some students are huggers and we hug and whatnot. And so to not to have any kind of like physical, hey, it's just like hit the red button to end meeting. You know, it's definitely, it can be limiting.
Yeah.
And even though I am as impactful based on what students have reported to us as far as like how the sessions go, we're still being impactful from our standpoint. And we've talked about this amongst ourselves on the team, is that it is, you don't feel as if you are as impactful because you're not there with that person. And especially when it's somebody new that you really don't have a relationship with. So most of my clients have all been the ones I've had before. So it hasn't really been that difficult of a transition from just knowing each other. But now that we're starting to get new clients in, or you may have a client you didn't build a lot of rapport with before we left campus, you definitely feel more limited in that capacity when it comes to developing the counselor-client relationship. Yeah. So now when it comes to, you know, you have a gigantic staff. I mean, you have a lot of people that work up under you.
Yeah.
What are you noticing from the standpoint of being at the top of the pile, and you know you absorb what other people are going through? What's that been like for you?
You know, I think challenging isn't the right word, but it's a good starting point.
Yeah.
You know, again, just like you talked about, so much of what we do is we feel, you know, and it's especially in our industry, or at least maybe it's just my own personal take on how I approach it. You know, I had roughly around 300 employees, and I knew every one of them by name. I knew most of what their family was like. I knew, you know, birthdays, celebrations, issues at home, struggles they were having. I mean, very real relationships. You know, I get a lot of credit for being the head of the department, but I can't do it without the team around me.
Yeah.
And so much of it is having to be kind of on those front lines with our teams, working with them kind of hand in hand.
Yeah.
Because I've never wanted to be, you know, from a manager to a chef to a district manager now. I never wanted to be somebody who just walked around with a clipboard and just, you know, doled out assignments. Hey, what's
this is
up,
the
sweetie?
realness of working from home.
I love it. I love it.
No, we're not trying to, you know, stage a whole lot around here. But baby, I need you to go back inside. Yeah, I need you to go back inside. Bye. Go close the door for me. I'm gonna call mommy out here.
No. Uh-oh.
No. Yeah. Deshaun. Close the door. I get it every time.
That's right.
And we're not editing anything out. This is what we got to do. We're working in COVID here.
You don't want Mama to come out too. Mama will come out with a slipper. It'll be bad.
So she cuts on the light and the fans on the deck to try to freeze me out, I believe. But I'm sorry, man. Continue. I know you saying.
No, that has been challenging. I mean, you know, the real impact of this specifically is, you know, almost 96% of our staff had to go on a furlough. You know, when we shut down for such a long period of time, and we're used to some of these breaks. I mean, going into the summer months, you know, May, right after commencement, June, July,
Yeah.
are traditionally downtimes when most of the universities closed. And so we've kind of got that planned, and that's kind of a repetitive thing for our team.
Yeah.
But to kind of have to back that up and do that, mid-March, early April, kind of like what we did, it's challenging. And so when you go from, 300 employees down to less than 18,
Yeah.
it's tough. And then certainly as you're helping a lot of different folks navigate, the ever-changing landscape of not only what's going on in terms of a quarantine or a lockdown, but then how do you navigate some of those other supplemental programs, as these rollout programs like the unemployment benefits are constantly changing as well. And so you're still trying to be a good steward. You're still trying to be a good shepherd, because at some point you're bringing these folks back.
Yeah.
And so you want to stay connected to them. And, I'm really proud of our team. We have, of the dozen or so managers that we've had, weekly, we have been calling a lot of our folks at home and just checking in on them. How are you
Yeah.
doing? What can we do to help you? How can we continue to bless you? What are some ways we can support? Do you need anything? Is there something that we can kind of help you find and get? And so I'm thankful that we've kept up those connections. But it's tough. I don't mind doing the work. I've always been a bit of a workaholic, but we joke in dining that we see each other more than we see our own families, and there's a lot of truth to that. And to have that kind of taken away from you, and then to still be on site working,
Yeah.
It's doubly tough. You're missing both families. You're missing your work family, and you're away from your home family too.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember when I was in school and working in dining, some of the things were just built in. You had summer break, so you had, smaller staff. The campus would be closed throughout the summer at different times. But, when you have what we have right now, that definitely hits different. And what it takes is what you said, like the staff to check in, to keep people connected, to what do you need, even if they don't need anything. I mean, it's just to know that somebody cares enough to check in,
right?
And knowing that you don't have to, and it's amazing. And it's amazing that these individuals like you do, because as a person who is like you, worked in several places, it makes a difference when you feel connected and that the people above you have a respect for you. Like,
well, and so much of that herb is buy-in, is that you have to cultivate, you have to have a culture of buy-in. When, it's easy for me to go and tell the university, oh, we're going to do this, this, this. I may be the design guy. I may be the rollout, the implementation guy. I'm certainly the guy being held accountable for it. But I got to expect the entire team around me to kind of facilitate that and make the actual thing happen.
Yeah.
And, the only way you get that is, it is such a cliche adage, but respect is definitely earned. It is never given.
Oh, yeah.
And I always approach it with I'm going to earn your respect, and you're going to see that I'm willing to do everything I've asked you to do.
Yeah.
Not only am I willing to do it side by side with you, I might even show you how to make it a little easier on you too.
Yeah.
As kind of we go through this process together. And so that is most assuredly the toughest part. Is, I mean, there were, I'm going to get in so much trouble for not naming everybody, but you talked about going up and just hitting somebody with a dab or giving them a hug. There were certain ladies that if I did not go into the Commons, if I didn't go to Einstein's and I didn't say hello, I didn't give them a hug, I didn't ask about their family or how their kids were doing or whatever. Oh man, the next time I went in there and I hadn't done that, hell, it was bad. It was bad. And just as nice and as sweet as we all could be, man, we could turn real quick on you too. So.
Oh yeah. Let me tell you, that's one group of people I miss is my Einstein's family. That's in the same building I work in.
Oh,
yeah. So,
I know Lee and KP and Marissa and all of them. Thankfully Marissa's been around. We still get to have her kind of helping us out over in the Commons. But definitely Lee and KP and the rest of that group, man. Shamika and everybody else, I miss it. I miss them like crazy.
Yeah, we had some fun times. They would always see me walking out going to the gym during lunch. That was always a thing. Yeah, mess with me on that one, but man, yeah, we enjoy them. I think everybody in the building does. I mean, that's just like between us and then with the building I'm in, then the nursing building next door. It's like they're just a group of people that, and they approach everybody the same. People love to come in there and talk to them. Definitely fun individuals. And so yeah, man, I couldn't imagine what it's like to be in your position, and I have a lot of respect for your approach when it comes to, I'll do anything I ask you to do.
Yeah.
And for me, I've always had a great respect for leadership when they are willing to do the same job they want you to do. And even when I've been in leadership positions, I've been really adamant about, being that. Like, I'm not going to ask you to work harder than me.
Yeah.
Well,
and look, some of it, I mean, keeps me humble too. I keep laughing with Kawana. She's my right hand. She is the yin to my yang. I am so grateful to have her under my team.
Yeah, I like her. She's cool.
But she'll joke around with me every now and then and be like, you don't have to do that. And I just look at her, I go, I'm 1 or 2 mistakes away from being in the dish room. So I gotta keep the skills going,
Man, let me tell you, my first ever job, I think it's my first ever job. Yeah. Maybe second. I started working real young. I worked as a dishwasher and in a truck stop called the Flying J years and years and years ago.
Oh yeah, I know the Flying J.
And then when I came to working in Sodexo in college, when I walked in the door and I was, interviewing for the job, it was like, I can use all these machines and I can wash dishes, So I was like everywhere. I was cooking, I was washing dishes, I was doing anything. And I always knew, like, that dishwashing experience was always humbling. Always humbling.
Though, there's something so zen-like and peaceful about it too.
Oh yeah.
So when you're having a rough day and you're stressed out, I'll beeline right to the dish room, and I'll be like, all right, Curtis, all right, everybody, step aside. Let me help you out for a few minutes.
It's like cutting grass, You can just zone out and just get into it.
You just got one focus. Let me just get this done. That's all I'm going to do.
Yeah, those humble beginnings. I was helping a friend of mine do some catering a while back. They have a food truck. And so they catered a wedding. Well, they have like a food company, but they do food trucks and stuff like that. And they catered a wedding. So I was helping them. And in this venue, there was like the dishwasher you would see like in what you all have in the Commons. Right. And I get in there and it was just like, I just got back in this mode I was in years ago and was organizing and dishes and silverware and boom, boom. And it was like, well, Herb, you've been here before. Like, you never forget, man.
No.
Never forget that.
Yeah. And like I said, you're 1 or 2 bad mistakes from being right back. So
yeah, buddy. Gratitude and appreciating where you are is important because it can change instantly.
Amen to that.
Yeah. So you brought some food by because you have been the quarantine chef, and I've enjoyed seeing your stuff.
That's part of it is I don't have this outlet anymore where I can, do stuff on the Magic City Eats food truck and everything else.
Yeah.
So I'm doing it here at the home. Now, my wife, Corinne, and my 2 kids, Andrew and Amelia, they're loving it. They absolutely are definitely getting it. But I know I've got a lot of love and a lot of hate on social media for all of that. So
yeah, I see it and I'm like, man, the presentation, the everything is going here. I'm like, okay.
Well, that's like you said with the dish room, man. That's just skill. Yeah, just being the best. That's all it is.
Yeah, okay. Who needs humility?
Not today. Not today.
Today. Let your ego shine. Ain't nothing wrong with that. So, tell us what we have here. Now, me and Brian don't live that far from each other, so he was gracious enough to bring that by. So I need to put the sauce on like you got yours. Hold it back up.
All right.
I got to sprinkle this sauce on.
Go light on that habanero sauce. I don't want to hurt you. So
hey man, I ain't scared over here. The drizzle won't be as good as yours. I'm gonna tell you that right now.
Well, this is gonna turn into an episode of Hot Ones real quick. So again, I think I talked to you a few days ago, and coming from several different areas, before Alabama, when we moved here 2 years ago, my wife and I, we were in Florida for a decade. So 5 years up in North Florida in the Jacksonville area, and then 5 years down south, just north of Miami, kind of in the West Palm Beach, Boca Raton area.
Yeah.
And good Latin cuisine. And, Latin food is not Mexican food. It's drastically different. You've got Ecuadorians, Colombians, Hondurans, Dominicans, Puerto Ricans, and all of the different melting pots and flavors and styles. And look, there are some great taco shops in Alabama, but there is not a lot of really good Latin food.
Okay.
And so it's definitely one of those things that I miss. And this was kind of my way of kind of just definitely trying to capture a little bit of some of that stuff that we were missing. And so I made a green chili chicken enchiladas with some fresh corn tortillas, a little bit of manchego cheese on top. And then you've got those two containers. One of them is a Mexican style crema. And crema is like their version of half and half meets sour cream.
Yeah.
And then you got to bring the heat. You got to bring the fire. And so a little habanero hot sauce on there too.
All right. Well, I'm not afraid of the hot, so we're gonna see. I got my cup here just in case, and go get some milk inside if I need it.
Now you noticed I didn't ask you what was in that cup.
Oh yeah, it's just water. It's just water. This is a UAB official podcast. It's just water.
There you go. Amen to that.
All right. Should have brought a knife on here, but I'm good. All right. My man.
I know. There's going to be 5 minutes of silence. We'll just chew occasionally,
That's it in.
There you go.
Trust me, people. Trust me. This is like favorites included. Chicken, rice, and cheese.
I mean, what really is not to like? So like you said, I've been doing a lot of cooking. I've done everything on there from steaks to shrimp to, I did these monster burgers one day. It's basically kind of whatever I feel like doing. I've got one, it's getting ready for Memorial Day weekend. So last week I ended up, I got a giant smoker kind of behind me, and I had 6 racks of ribs in there doing that. I ended up doing like 100 and some odd chicken wings. But coming up this week, I'll be doing a true Southern style brisket. And that one's a labor of love. I got to get up around 4 o'clock in the morning to get started, because it'll take, it'll take a solid, So.
My brother is a big time griller. And man, he'll spend 18 hours cooking one of them briskets or something like that. But man, you're talking about good. So I grill.
We call it meat candy.
There you go. Yeah, I grill, and quite a bit, especially recently. And so I've gotten more expansive in my grilling techniques. I have a barrel grill. I'm from the South, man. I love them old barrel grills.
Right.
And big old barrels, and I made into a grill, and I got a kettle grill as well. And I found this thing on I saw it on YouTube, so I bought it off Amazon. It's like a vortex thing you put inside of a grill to create all this like really intense heat, and it has been impressive to say the least.
Really? I'm gonna have to check that out.
Yeah, so with this weekend coming up, we're gonna try some things out. I will get some hamburgers, but the way the price of ground beef is right now, won't be any hamburgers happening.
And again, having a little bit of inside knowledge about all of that, because clearly a big company like we are, we're speaking directly to the food manufacturers. And the unfortunate part about that is it is not a supply issue; it's a distribution issue. And that's where so much of it is unfortunately hitting everything. Is you've got so much waste. Like down in Florida where we were from, You've got the Driscoll Berry Farm, and they're known for their strawberries. Driscoll strawberries are all throughout the South.
Oh yeah,
And
Driscoll. Yeah.
yeah. You've got, because of quarantine issues and because of everything else, you've got, so many people that haven't been able to actually go and, glean the fields and harvest all of the crop that's there. And so what actually can happen with plants like that is that the longer the fruit is on there and rots, the rest of the plant starts to die. And so you actually do need to continue to pick these things with some, level of frequency to allow the plant to continue to live and produce throughout the year.
Yeah.
And so you've got whole acres of fields that are just dying off.
Yeah.
And then certainly when you're looking at like the meat and the proteins, specifically pork and beef, it's not that ranchers aren't still, taking their herds out or taking them to the different slaughterhouses or what have you. But it's, you're hearing so much about Tyson chicken that's been in the news, and the president's had to step in and basically say that they are mandated as essential personnel and have to stay open. But then you look at the trucking industry, which is a vital lifeline to how we get food from all these other places. When you look at that, there's 8 or 9 Tyson chicken factories that produce all of the chicken for the entire country. You're like, well, they're clearly not putting them on planes, so you got to get them places. And so that's where the struggle has been, is the infrastructure on the pipeline and the distribution systems. The food's still out there. It's just a problem of getting it to where we need it to go.
That's a good insight, because I was in Walmart the other day and saw a tube of ground beef, $30, and I was like, well, no ground beef today.
We're gonna switch to ground turkey. There you go. We're gonna like it.
Not today. All right. So this is amazing, man. Thought I might have some left over for my wife, but it ain't looking that way. About to pour some more of this the spicy sauce on it.
She let your daughter come outside. I mean, that's on her now.
I know, right? And that's the younger one, man. She does what she wants to do. The oldest one listens a little bit. The youngest one, boy, she is a rebel.
Mine too. I've got my son just turned 13 this last Sunday, so I got a teenager now, and he is straight and arrow. He's a people pleaser. He doesn't want to get in trouble. He's risk averse. All that stuff. My daughter is me unfiltered, and that's a bad thing. And she is 10, going on 27, and we all just living in her house. So
yeah, that's my Haley. She's 4. And the funny thing about it is she thinks everything is funny. So the other night I'm like, Haley, where are your panties? Like, she had somehow took her panties off. I don't know. Where are your panties? And she was like, they're in your butt. It was laugh. I was like, hey, sounds like something I'd say.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, man, we're going to switch to a segment I like to do every time, and it's called One Gotta Go. So, restaurant guy or cook like yourself.
Oh.
I don't know what you feel when you see these establishments, but one has to go. So the way this works is we'll start with the first one we're keeping.
Oh, the first one we're keeping?
Yes, we're going to work our way down to which one has to go.
Oh man, not even that's easy. BW3s, Buffalo Wild Wings. Final answer.
And so you got to, explain why you choose restaurant, yada, 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 yada. So
if you've been to
BW3s,
you don't have to explain it. It's good.
All right, so the first one off the board for you is obviously B-Dubs, Buffalo Wild Wings.
Again, I'm a huge sports fan and sports buff, and it's just something about being in that place. And let's not fool ourselves. The food is not phenomenal. It's decent. It's simple. It is what it is, and it's okay that it is what it is. But to be surrounded with no less than 362 screens, getting to watch everything you could possibly think of, I'm in. I'm all in.
I agree. Let me drink something because I put a lot of this stuff on this chicken this time.
I told you. I told you.
I doused it, man. So I'm with you on B-dubs. It's the obvious, man. You know, I'm very specific when it comes to wings. So it's hard to really mess them up if you like do them how I ask you to, which is fried hard. I want them crunchy. I don't like a soggy wings. That means they got to cook it for me, not give me the wings that's been sitting out for a little while. And yeah, it's one less than a mile from my house. Whenever a fight comes on or a certain sporting event I want to check out, I can go do that. Drinks are pretty good. So hey, I'm all about B-dubs.
Well, and I'm impressed with their wide range of sauces too.
Oh yeah. Me too.
So
they could do better on the French fries, but you know, hey.
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie, they're not that great.
No. All right, so who's next to stay?
I'm gonna have to go with Red Lobster.
Why?
And it pains me to say it. It absolutely pains me to say it because I'll be honest with you, I'm not much of a fan of the last three. so
no,
it's
it
like,
gets bad quick.
Yeah. There's a definite peak and sharp decline afterwards. And the only thing I'm going to say is, look, again, as a fellow food connoisseur, there is something about every time that you bite into a warm cheddar biscuit from Red Lobster, that is about as close to a holy experience you can get outside of church.
So, you know, they could charge for the cheddar biscuits and make everything else free, and it'll be fine.
Well, the rest of the menu ain't worth a damn.
No.
But that biscuit's something else.
Yeah. So we buy the biscuit mix with the cheddar-based stuff from Walmart and just make it ourselves at the house.
There you go. See, and then you don't even need Red Lobster anymore.
Never
just
need
buy
it
the
again.
mix, you're fine.
Yeah. All right. So next one to go for me, the next one to stay for me is Olive Garden.
Okay.
And again, you know, I'm not like it's not my favorite cuisine, but it's nice. The soups are good. I like the Super Toscana or something like that. My wife makes it at home, which is even better. The breadsticks are good. Salad is okay. And they have some, you know, good commercials and good looking food. So yeah. And then the unlimited soup at lunch can be good if you're close enough to one to eat.
I will say, I agree with you. I think, you know, their salad game is definitely strong. So.
Yeah. All right. So who's the next one to stay for you?
Oh, the next one to stay is Olive Garden.
Olive Garden. Okay.
Almost exactly for the reasons you said. The Zuppa Toscana, if you put enough of that cheese in it, it's pretty decent.
Yeah.
And then the unlimited soup or the salad and the breadsticks. Yeah. Mm-hmm. You know, they could basically just only serve that and stop serving the rest of the crap that's on their menu, and they'd be fine.
And they can get the cheddar biscuit from Red Lobster and just take over the industry.
Well, there you go. Have you noticed that we've started ranking everybody on their free bread?
Man, let me tell you. My wife has now figured out how to make the Super Toscana at home. And we use more kale, more sausage, more potatoes, more. And I'm not searching for, like, you know, any of the ingredients when I'm eating, like I'm at the restaurant. Like I'm fishing for a potato when I'm at Olive Garden at home. It's very bountiful.
Well, and then you're pouring it out, you know, when you're there sometimes, and it's clearly, we're at the bottom of the bucket. You know, this thing is nothing but just broth.
Yeah.
So.
All right. What's next for you?
Well,
I'm next,
one
right?
left. Yeah,
I'm next. So between Golden Corral and Red Lobster, I'm saying, whew, I'm keeping Golden Corral, and that saddens me.
I got nothing for you. Man, I got nothing for you.
That saddens me. So you're one that got to go. It's Golden Corral. It's the red. What's yours? Golden Corral. Mine's Red Lobster. So why does Golden Corral have to go for you?
So here's the thing. Because I work in this industry, so much of it is, we have a certain, man, I am about to scare everybody who's going to watch this video. But so much of it is, operating and serving in a very, very safe environment. And it's safe for our customers, our clientele, our own people. We have so many different systems when you talk about personal safety, food safety, all of that stuff that's tied in, right? And I've never gone into Golden Corral and felt like it was a good experience, one. And two, it just bothers me as a society that we need that many fried foods and an endless chocolate fountain. And if you look, the next time you go in and look, I want you to look at that salad bar. It is the most pristine, beautiful, untouched salad bar, no matter what time of day you're going in there.
Oh, yeah.
And that says a lot about us as a society right now.
There's everything wrong with America right now.
Well, it just, nobody needs fried dough in the middle of an afternoon on a Wednesday. You know what I mean? Like, that's a fair food. Yeah. I don't need to be able to get that next to my carrots, next to my hot ham and whatever else. And
let me tell you, the reason I'm keeping Golden Corral over Red Lobster is that outside of the Cheddar Bay biscuits, Red Lobster is trash on top of trash.
And you noticed I didn't say a thing about their food beyond that biscuit. Trash.
And so with Golden Corral, I can at least remember like doing some family stuff, and we had like a good breakfast there or something like that, or a good gathering or whatever. Even though we didn't want to go to Golden Corral, it's like we go and have a good time. Like it's at least a memory or two connected to it. And if you catch the food coming out at the right time, you might get something all right at the right time. And you're right. If you want a good salad, man, it's untouched. But you can't go to the dessert thing and get the ice cream or the cookies with everybody sticking their hands in the cookies and the whatever.
Everything is sticky. No. It's the worst. It's the worst.
So yeah, this is it's like a 0 and a -1 that you're choosing between.
Well, and again, I mean, it's like there's B-dubs, and then there's just like garbage.
Terrible. Like at least Olive Garden has a nice, atmosphere when you walk in. You feel like you're in something nice.
That's debatable.
They'll come to your table and hit the cheese out for you. Oh man. Well, man.
What's their phrase? When you're here, you're family. And every time I'm there, I feel like I'm the black sheep of the family, and nobody wants me there.
So you got your nose all turned up at the food, like,
Oh, none of that. I've never had good service at an Olive Garden.
And it's like an Olive Garden and a Red Lobster, like next door to each other here in Trussville.
Oh yeah. Over there by the Pinnacle.
Yeah.
And you know what? I've not been to either one of them, and there's no reason to go to either one of them.
I got you. So they built a Golden Corral. That'll be 3 you can't go to. Just come on the other side to where I am, to Buffalo Wild Wings. I only live right by. We can meet up there one day. And
it's so funny. We go to
wings.
My family and I. We go there, and then we go to that little taco shop just a couple doors down, La Calle.
Yeah.
Now their food is incredible.
Okay.
But it's stay in your lane. You're going to get tacos, and that's all you need to get.
That's all you need to get.
So, that's all you need to get.
Don't venture out.
No,
Okay.
they're trying. They're trying to have diversity in their menu, and it is for everybody else. It doesn't need to be for you and I. So there we
Gotcha.
go.
Gotcha. Well, man, this has been fun. I mean, we've shot through an hour. It don't even feel like it. It feel like 15 minutes. But it's
Well,
but I mean, it's good to do this. It's good to see you. Like, even though it's via Zoom, it's good to see you, man. We've definitely connected since the time you've been here. And we've been here about the same time. I was here short before you were, so
yeah.
definitely, man.
Well, again, thank you. Thank you for reaching out and asking me. And again, I am so grateful to get to work with you and all of your colleagues. And this warms my heart. It's good to see you and to laugh and to smile and share a meal together. So I appreciate that too.
Let me tell you, from a counseling standpoint, we talk about therapeutic things we can do and good coping skills and whatnot. Sharing this meal via Zoom has been fun. And cooking in itself, and I know Brian can say this, can be definitely therapeutic. And and so, take something from this, try it yourself. We were just close enough to where he can bring some food over here. And but that didn't have to be the case. Y'all can be far apart and still share a meal and a drink together and have a good time. All right. Well, man, I will see you soon enough. It's going to happen. And if not, then we'll find a way to see each other before then, because we stay really close to each other. So we can make it happen. All right.
Well, absolutely. And anytime you got to get away from the kids, you're always welcome over. Love to have you.
No problem, man. No problem. You have a good one. And like we say, counseling services, we're still open. And if you need anything, you reach out to us.